Welcome back to From the Couch Sports. Today I want to talk about the Jets draft class. Just day one and day two. I'm not going to go and do a full video or anything. We're just strictly talking Jets today. So last night, Thursday, was the kickoff of the NFL draft. We're sitting at 4 and we got 10 in the draft. And to kick things off, Trayvon Walker goes number 1. Aiden Hutchinson goes number 2. And then the Texans take Derek Stingley, which was kind of a late news story that was coming in the last couple days before the draft, that was what's going to happen. So the Jets were sitting at 4, and they had Kayvon Thibodeaux available or Sauce Gardner, and they took Sauce. So Sauce had to be their number 1 corner on their board, and I think they believe that Sauce can be a guy that becomes a difference maker on this defense. A guy that can kind of transform the defense and be that shutdown corner in this Robert Saleh defense. Sauce is a really great prospect. He's 6'3", he ran a 4.41 40. So he's got great size for a corner. You don't really see too many corners that size, the length, and then the speed to go with it. So he's not just a lot of times in the past, the taller corners are, a lot slower than the smaller ones typically, but Sauce has the speed to go with everything. He's got the potential to be a game changer in the NFL. And then they go up with number 10. They had pretty much a pick of whatever receiver on the board outside of Drake London. And they go Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, 6 foot, ran a 4.38. This is a guy who's a really solid NFL player. I didn't actually think he was going to be at 10. That's why I had Jameson Williams in the mock going 10. Garrett Wilson he's a good route runner, great hands. He looks like, one of those guys that's going to come in, have a really good rookie year. He's a really polished prospect coming into the NFL. Great speed. I think he can also, change things on offense. You combine him with Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, and you got a really good young core group of wide receivers. And I really like Garrett Wilson. I thought he was the better receiver out of Ohio State coming out. So I'm really excited for this pick. There was a rumor that the Jets had kind of floated this pick out to San Francisco for Debo, but things didn't go through. It seems like Debo's probably going to stay put in San Francisco because, at this point, San Francisco's not getting current capital back. They'd be getting future picks and whatnot. But I'm happy with the pick. We get a young, good receiver to kind of groom with Zach Wilson, with Elijah Moore. This is a really good young team. And then a little bit later in the first round, this was the surprise of the draft. The Jets trade up for a third first-round pick, and they get Jermaine Johnson. They trade with the Tennessee Titans. They get the pick number 26 overall. And Jermaine Johnson slides all the way to 26. This is a guy who I thought for sure was going in the top 10. I had him going number 7 in my mock draft, and pretty much everyone had him. I seen people put him going to the Jets at 4, and also pretty much a lot of people thought he'd be the pick at 10 if he was available. So this is a guy who's, Joe Douglas said he was top 8 in his draft board. So we get a very good player. He's 6'5", ran a 4.58 40. So he's a super good athlete, defensive end. He's like a year older than most of the rest of the class. He's not super old. He's 23. And I think we're bringing him into this edge group. You get Carl Lawson coming back. We've got a good interior D-line as it is. And I think this defense is, going to be a lot better than it was last year. Plus, you have Sauce on the outside at corner. You pair him with DJ Reed, Bryce Hall, Michael Carter. I really like the secondary, the way things are coming together. And then that was draft night, the first round. This was the craziest draft we've had in years as a Jets fan. A few years, 20 years ago, actually more than 20 years ago, in 2000 was the last time we had more than 2 picks in the first round. And that was the year we took Pennington and a few other picks in the first. And even in recent years, last year was fun for sure because we took Zach Wilson, traded up, got Elijah Vera Tucker, and then there was the year before, when we had traded Darrelle Revis to the Bucks, and we got D. Milner and Sheldon Richardson in the first round. But this was different. This is we got our receiver for Zach Wilson. We got a lockdown corner, and I mean, and then the guy says that he's like studies Darrelle Revis and stuff. This is like that's exactly what we want to hear as a Jets fan. And then we got the defensive end, a position that the Jets have not addressed in like 20 years. It's been since John Abraham, since we had a legit defensive end that we got in the draft. And like there was years where we took a guy like Quinton Coples, and it was like, can this guy who's a really good athlete develop into the defensive end that we want him to be? And that didn't pan out. And then like since then, it was just constant 3-4 DNs. You get Muhammad Wilkerson, Leonard Williams. I mean, Quinton Williams is more of a D tackle now, but still like it's more of the bigger interior rushers instead of an outside guy. And like we had the year where Wilkerson had 10 sacks. I think Calvin Pace, I want to say he had a year with 10 sacks, but he wasn't like Jermaine Johnson. He was more of a linebacker. They had a really good year that year. But Jermaine Johnson's like a pure 4-3 defensive end, something we haven't had in years. And now we also get to pair him with Carl Lawson on the other side. This is going to be a ton of fun to watch this Robert Saleh defense. We were atrocious last year, one of the worst defenses in football. So I think the moves we've made in the offseason and the draft picks we've invested, I think this is going to turn things around. And then today came the second and the third round. So we had traded up our second round pick to get up to 26 with the Titans. So we still had the Panthers pick. And then we traded that pick up to get up even higher. We got up to pick 36, and we took Breece Hall, the running back out of Iowa State. And I mean, this is the consensus number one running back in the class. A lot of people had Kenneth Walker is the other top running back. Kenneth Walker also does, he does it all, but he's a little bit smaller. And Breece Hall he's taller, he's 5'11", but he's like in the 220 range, and he's super fast, runs a 4.39, 40-inch vertical, incredible athlete, and he's also like the modern day running back. He can run between the tackles, he's got the speed, he can catch, he's good in the receiving game, he can block, and it's like you pair that combination with Michael Carter at running back. Michael Carter, coming out of college, he had a year with Javonte Williams. I want to say like they both ran for 1,000 yards or something crazy, like just the split carry backfield. And, that's like last year we had times where Michael Carter was hurt, and we're relying on, guys that aren't like ready to carry the load, and like guys that aren't able to be used in the same fashion. So like Ty Johnson, for example, he's there's moments where he's a good running back. There's other moments where he struggles in the receiving role that Michael Carter was so good at. So now we got a guy in Breece Hall that can do both of those things, and we have a lot of depth at running back. We brought Tevin Coleman back, who's a nice weapon as well, and we've got a nice backfield. You pair that with a good offensive line. Things last year the O-line was solid without Mekhi Becton and Lincoln Tomlinson, the free agent we just signed. So next year, we got potential to have one of the best O-lines in football, and you got a great pair of running backs behind you with Zach Wilson, a solid 2 tight ends that they picked up in free agency. You got a rookie wide receiver, Elijah Moore, coming into his own. And then pick number 101, another weapon for Zach Wilson. This is Jeremy Ruckert, the local kid who ended up going to college at Ohio State. But this is a guy like, so I want to say Ruckert and Jermaine Johnson were both guys that the Jets spent a lot of time with because of the Senior Bowl. I'm not 100% sure if they were both on the Jets Senior Bowl team. I think at least one of them was. But Ruckert is a guy like I mean I've seen some of the interactions, like him wanting to be a Jet like years ago when he was a kid and stuff on Twitter. I want to say, and like this is just a fun story. He's also 6'5", and I think he's a really solid overall tight end. Like with Conklin and Uzoma, I don't think he's gonna play like right away, but he's a good young guy. He can do it all. So like if injuries happen or if you give him minutes, I think he's gonna do really good or snaps. And Overall, he's got good hands. He doesn't have the best hands in the class, but he's got solid hands. He's a good blocker as well. Not necessarily the best blocker, but he's definitely up there. And I think this is a good pickup for the Jets. That rounds out the first and second day of the draft. We certainly have some picks on day three. Day three is like you're getting more developmental guys. Like these first four picks, I don't think Ruckert's going to start right away, but I certainly think he's going to get a lot of snaps. And then the other picks, like, very well might start. I think Breece Hall, like, shares the starting position with Michael Carter. They both kind of split that backfield. But then Jermaine Johnson, there's a good chance he starts. Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. So we had a really good draft. In my opinion, this is one of the best Jets draft classes in years. And if these picks pan out, we have a very good chance at becoming a successful franchise. The way that the team's set up, we still have all of our future picks, and we have so much young talent on this roster. So I could totally see things. It's going to hinge on the coaching staff developing these players and also the development of Zach Wilson, almost most importantly. But if those things can work out, the picks are there. We have the talent for once, and I think there's a lot to be optimistic about as a Jets fan. These last 2 days have been like the Super Bowl for me because, we don't ever win games. Like we're usually looking at mock drafts in October, and I think finally this next year we might not have to be doing that. I think realistically we're probably a borderline 500 team the way things look right now, but you never know how things pan out. Football is a game of possessions, and it usually comes down to one or two possessions in a game, and sometimes it can be you get a couple more wins and you're a 10-win team, for example, and you're fighting for a wild card spot. But just even thinking of that about that is crazy right now, and it's because we've had such a good draft class, because we have confidence in last year's draft class. Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, I think we finally have things going in the right direction, so it's exciting. I can't wait for the rest of the draft tomorrow and the rest of the training camp, rookie camps, all that stuff. I'm excited for it. But if you like the video, if you like the Jets, please like and subscribe to the video. I want to make a lot of Jets content because I'm a huge Jets fan, but I also cover other sports. I cover boxing, UFC. We cover a little bit of basketball as well, and then a lot of NFL, a lot of draft content as well on the page. But thanks for tuning in.